everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Superpowers. I'm Caron, and this is Dawn. And we have a fun episode for you guys today. As many of you know, if you watch our videos regularly, Dawn was away in France on her honeymoon. So you had some interesting experiences while you were there.
I did. I've always wanted to go to France.
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity. I haven't done much traveling overseas, so this was a dream come true for me, and it exceeded my expectations, my wildest dreams. I fell in love with every city we went to. We started in Paris, and some of the things, just on a side note, before we get to all the woo-woo, is I had always been told that French people are rude and that the city is dirty. And I don't know if it's changed over the years, but the city was beautifully clean. It was a gorgeous city, and everyone was so nice. I would try and speak French to the best of my ability, and they would respond in English or French, but with, respect. Yeah. And they loved, trying to communicate. I think they enjoyed practicing their English as much as I enjoyed practicing my French. And it's exactly what I pictured. All the women and all the men look fabulous all the time. They drink red wine, they drink coffee all the time, and they smoke, but they're beautiful, their teeth are white, they're happy, they're healthy.
How about the 3-hour dinners?
Yeah, all their meals take forever. They eat as much as you hear that they do. And they really are as slender. They start every day off with croissants and pain au chocolat, which is chocolate croissant, meats and cheeses and cappuccinos, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how are they eating that much food first thing in the morning? And it's all carbohydrates. And then at lunch they have an appetizer, the main course, and a dessert, plus a coffee, or what I saw more often than anything, wine. They'd split a bottle of wine at lunch. And then at dinner, the restaurants don't even start to serve dinner until 7 o'clock. And there's no rush at all. They come, they bring you your drinks, and then you have your appetizer, and then there's time, and then you have your main course, and then there's time.
In fact, what I remember from France is to get your bill at the end of when you want to leave is tough. They're expecting you to stay so much longer. So when you want your bill, it's kind of hard to get your bill.
Yeah. And they have no problem with you just sitting there enjoying yourself. Yeah. They're not pressing you to get out.
So that makes me think, with eating all that food and not being overweight as a result. So what is it that's making us in our Western culture overweight? Is it stress? Maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the things that we're eating, maybe fast food versus maybe even a croissant that's made with non-GMO flour and real butter and things like that. So maybe there's that to it too. But
I think that's a factor, the nutritional value of their ingredients. I asked every place I went to, I asked the waiters there, do the locals actually eat this much food? Or they said, no, everyone eats this much, but they walk everywhere. They bike everywhere. But what you touched on with stress, I think that's it, because they work a 35-hour work week, but the roads don't even start to even become alive until maybe 6 o'clock, but 7 o'clock is kind of when people start getting out and about to get to work for 8 or 9. But everyone's at cafes in the morning, and then they're out walking at lunch, and I guess they have a full hour lunch. They only have to, they work a 7-hour day, and they're so social. So it just seems like everything is a little bit slower, less pressure, less of a rat race. And so I'd be really curious to know what their cortisol levels are.
Yeah. So it's like work to live instead of live to work.
Yes. Yeah. And you could feel it. I was telling Karen this before when we were talking about my trip, that it's not like they achieved anything less. It's not like they were behind or slower, or they got everything done and seemed like they had fun.
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's the attitude you carry. And when you think about it, what does your body do when it's in a state of stress? It holds on to everything, because that's physiologically, when we were in caveman days, you held on to all your calories and that sort of thing. Stress.
The stress levels. Yeah, so that's something I really noticed right off the bat in Paris. And then I went to other towns. One was medieval, which was Vaison-la-Romaine. And that was so unique because you could really get a sense of what it was like for those times. So that was kind of neat. And it was at this point that I started to think, you know what? Why don't I try tuning into some things? And when we went to Gourds, France, I had so many imprints.
Oh.
And that was so nice. It in this town, I could really get a sense of, as you'll see in my video, I just realized I'm getting into the video, about, because I actually explained it in my little clip.
Oh, yeah. But maybe before we do that, explain what an imprint is.
Okay, good idea. Yes. An imprint is kind of like watching a movie. It's a form of energy that plays that you can tune into to see what happened
In the past.
in a previous time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like an energy in a space or a location from the past that just lingers there.
Yeah, and a lot of people will think they're ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
But they're...
Because you see people in those imprints and buildings and such from the past. Yeah.
One thing that you can try and see if there's a difference between a ghost and an imprint is, do they acknowledge you? Do they see you? When they don't and it just plays out, then it's like a movie, then it's an imprint. But if you sense that they know that you're there, then it's probably a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely picked up on that, and I'll explain that in the video. And then also coming up in the video, I talk about Lacoste, and it actually reminded me of what Caron talked about in her video in Hawaii about how there was people didn't really hold on, they accepted it with your Ho'oponopono.
Yeah. There was
an end and a new start.
Yeah. And it's a way of it's a release of energy.
Yes, it felt like they weren't holding on to anything.
Right, they weren't holding on.
Yeah, it was fresh, it was bright. So that's that. I'm going to touch on that in the video as well. And then at the end, we're going to talk about a portal that I discovered in Avignon. Yeah. So have a look at this clip, and we'll see you afterwards.
Hello, it's just me, Dawn, today, because Caron is enjoying the beach and the sun in Hawaii. And I'm in Avignon, France. I've been traveling around France for the last 2 weeks, and I have had such an amazing time going from village to village to village and getting a sense of what the environment is like there. And certain places have definitely stood out to me. One is Lacoste. Lacoste is a beautiful village on top of a mountain, and we just rode through there on our bikes. But when I arrived, the sense of love and compassion and gratitude was there, even though there was this enormous cemetery. Obviously, this was a place involved in the First World War because the cemetery itself was filled with people from that time. And even though there's so many different layers of history that I'm picking up on, it all felt complete. You know, there wasn't any holding on to the past. It was acceptance, gratitude, respect, love, and then moving on to the next. So I just absolutely loved Lacoste. Another place that we've been to that was quite interesting was Gourds, and that's where we just came from. Gourds is again on a top of a mountain, and this place had so many imprints of what it was like way back in the day, you know, horse and buggy or mule, people walking, people hiking, people building. And it was definitely an area that took a lot of grit. And I don't really know what the lifestyle was like there, but it definitely seemed like it was two-tier. You know, there was the people, the artisans and the builders and the servants who really worked hard. And then there also seem to have the affluence as well. So I really want to look into the history of gourds. And lastly, like I said, I'm in Avignon, and this room or this hotel is very active. In fact, where I'm sitting right now, it almost feels like there's a vortex. I had a horrible night's sleep last night. I'm really not comfortable in this space. My husband and I have been drinking wine every day as well while we're in France, and that actually interrupts my strength with being able to protect myself and my aura because it creates little holes. And so today we're not drinking. I'm going to try and build up my protection a little bit more and hopefully have a good night's sleep, because the last thing I want to do is have any attachments from any space that I'm visiting, but then also want to make sure that my partner is protected as well. So tonight I'm going to do my best to clear the space to my strength and ability within my comfort zone and in a safe way. And then I'm also building up my own personal protection and energy to hopefully keep me from picking up anything, and then hopefully have a good night's sleep tonight. Because of how active this place is, I'm hoping to talk to the staff downstairs and see if they have any ghost stories.
All right, so as you could see in the clip, I was in Avignon and I tried to sleep, but my legs in the bed felt like they were in a portal. And you did a brilliant way of explaining it or describing it. It's almost like like a highway. It felt like it was
energy highway.
Yeah, and it was going through me like up and down, and it made it so uncomfortable to sleep. At this point, I had been drinking wine regularly, and I don't think we've really talked about that on the show. But you know, when it comes to using substances to expand the mind, alcohol doesn't really fall into play. Like you won't find a shaman who uses alcohol, because it tends to actually put holes in our aura and make us more vulnerable to attachments or influences or negative energy. So having known this, I knew that I was not in a strong enough space to do work on it at that time. So because of a previous episode with Laura, my little fairy friend who did an elemental alchemy and Reiki treatment on me, she had mentioned delegating more. So that night, while I couldn't sleep because of the huge energy shifts, I focused on calling in Archangel Michael and my team to envelop me and my husband in a protective energy field. And then I also focused on aligning my chakras and making sure that my aura was strong. And I think that that's something that anyone can do.
Yes.
You don't have to be a Ghostbuster. You know, you can just, if you're feeling uncomfortable or you're feeling like there's another type of energetic shift in the area that is influencing you, call in your team, call in Archangel Michael, and surround yourself in a bubble of protection.
And there's different ways to do that, but I think that the most basic ways are just surrounding yourself with white light, surrounding yourself in like a suit of armor and thinking of zipping up that suit of armor.
That's a good one. Yeah, if you have access to the earth, grounding, like going barefoot on the earth or touching earth, and just calling in your team. For me, I'm very lucky. I'm not easily frightened, but that's something that we need to be aware of. And there were times in that moment where I felt uncomfortable, and so I tried to keep my energy high. And that prevents me from being in a state of fear, which is a lower vibration, which makes me more susceptible.
And how you keep your energy high, instead of being fearful, just recall memories that you're feeling gratitude or you're feeling love, and that will keep your energy and your vibration high and totally make you so protected against any negative energies that might be around.
That is a great tip, I think, for how to elevate your energy and keep you safe. So I did that through the night, and then the next day I avoided wine, and I continued to make sure that my chakras were in alignment, that I was grounded, that my aura was strong. I meditated to bring in more white light and energy, and then I called in my team to do some work with me. That big a work, I prefer to do it with someone. But it was just me. So attempting this new delegation, I called in as much as I could, and I kind of tried to delegate as if I had other people there to help me. And we managed to kind of cloak the portal. And so for those of you who don't know what a portal is, we should probably talk about that. It's kind of like it's an energy portal. So it can be a space where the veil between other dimensions are thinner, and other entities can pass to and from, including us. And
they can be everywhere.
Yeah, I just happen to be in like the 401 version of it in Avignon. But a lot of the times they're wonderful because it gives you the opportunity to go into other realms, connect with other entities and beings. But this one didn't feel all positive.
Well, and also you were trying to sleep.
And I was trying to sleep.
So not a great place for a portal.
No, it was really busy. It was keeping me awake.
Yeah. You want a portal where it's somewhere you can go to maybe connect and kind of see what's there, but not somewhere where you have to live, or, like a hotel room where you're living temporarily, or in your home,
I cloaked it, which allowed me to have a much better sleep. But I did ask the staff at the hotel if the place was haunted. So here's a little clip of me attempting to ask the front
I just have one question. Une question. Cet hôtel est-il hanté?
Oh, no, not that I know.
No?
But you felt something. That's a very old building.
Right. Okay.
So
I just wanted to ask.
you felt something?
Yes.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So I just wanted to check.
What room were you in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought I'd ask if there were any stories.
You had a bad night, or?
2 nights ago it was tough, and then I
Okay.
did some work on the room and had a better sleep last night. So
Okay.
I was just wondering.
Okay.
Merci.
Okay, so as you could see, it's not known for being haunted, but I still wanted to ask.
Well, although that's what they said.
Right.
I would, with it being such an old building, I wouldn't be surprised.
And what with portals, because it's open to so many things, a lot of times people think when things are haunted, it's because whoever was there is attached to that space, and so they stay there. Where with a portal, because it's open to entities coming and going, not all entities are going to just come and stay there forever. They're going to come and be transient. They'll move on.
A lot of discarnate beings are transient. So
there just probably isn't a story associated with the hotel itself of one haunting being or anything like that. But with it being that old, it would be impossible for it to not have beings walking in and around.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I kept it really short, the question, just because there was other people coming in to the hotel.
Guests of the hotel.
Yeah.
So you don't really
I don't
want to
freak them out. And then I was also there with my husband on our honeymoon, trying not to work.
Right.
and
freak
and
him
for
out,
him
maybe.
and freak him out. So anyways, it was a quick little question. Once they said no, I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And we moved on.
But I think this opens the door to a lot of other episodes on protection. And if you're in a hotel or in someone else's house, especially an older house, or in your own house, and you feel something odd going on, not to just dismiss it, So,
And we have actually done an episode with Marilyn Penny on property clearing, where she's closed some portals from using the Akashic records.
Right.
So we'll include a link to that up above too. So if you are curious about finding out more about energy clearing and property clearing through Akashic records, we'll include that video of Marilyn Penny, because she's done both of our spaces, and we both had portals that needed to be closed.
Right. And also there's the episode, if you've watched all of our episodes, about the ghost that was attached to the Ace restaurant.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
talk about haunting. Yeah. So we'll include a link to that video below as well.
Yeah.
Because then, you can see what a ghost, when
Who's
they're
attached,
invested.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's attached,
Why.
what they do. And Yeah, that was kind of fun and cool.
Yeah, well, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and if you've ever been to France and have any spooky stories, I'd love to hear them. Yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I'll definitely be going back, and we hope that you like it enough to give us a thumbs up.
Yep, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
That's right, because we have plenty more coming, as Caron listed
Yeah.
a bunch, and so stay tuned, and we'll see you again next week.